Soon may the wellerman come, bring us coffee, tea, and rum. One day the tonguing is done, take our leave and go. At a fair on the town, her hair was blonde and her dress was brown. Soon may the wellerman come around. Being a Western Kentucky local, I'm fortunate to have access to pretty sizable boating waters just a short drive away from home. But for me, getting out in the boonies, where white-tailed deer and the eastern wild turkey roam, is all part of the experience. I was pleasantly surprised to come across this small flock of hens with their chicks in mid-July. Most of the time, I try to avoid completely windless days like this, as sailing really is my main pursuit, even though most of my boats are perfectly good rowers as well. I always hesitate to leave behind the sail, spars, and rudder, but the hourly forecast was predicting zero wind all day, and in this case, I'm actually going to trust the forecast and leave the rig behind, just to be unencumbered. As much as I love sailing and like to be prepared for any wind that may develop, occasionally it's nice to go out with the bare minimum: a pair of oars, a tote, and a cooler. In my experience, egrets are very difficult to photograph without a zoom lens. I think this is the closest I've managed to get. Sometimes I'm afraid my adventure videos are getting a little too repetitive, but there's kind of a seasonal rhythm to my activities, and summertime is the time of creek exploration. The higher lake level allows much easier access further up narrow creeks, and that is where I'm headed on this day, back of the creek. Alternatively, the low water level of the cooler months is the time for going out to the islands and shoals, many of which are not even visible during summer and are totally submerged. That egret seems to know where I'm going, piloting me to the hidden entrance of the narrow creek channel. The mouth is pretty overgrown with some low-hanging branches, but perfectly passable for my 12-foot skiff. Alright, time to leave the skiff behind and strike out on foot. I know I say this a lot, but I've been here before. It's been a long time. Last time I was here, it was with my buddy in his kayak, and the water must have been way up because we were able to float pretty far up this creek. And I know a lot of these fallen trees were here at the time, but today I'm having to duck under the tree trunks. Then we floated over them. It's starting to rain very lightly. It always rains whenever I'm back up a creek like this, every time. And so now the creek is definitely rain runoff. Very clear, clean water, even a little bit blue tinted. You always want to be really careful getting around any kind of sizable fallen tree trunk because they may look small, but you know, most of these trunks are heavy enough to pin a person down, and that is not a good way to go. I came to a fork and I'm going up the dry fork. I noticed that the other one still had plenty of water in it, and there's a lot of vegetation growing on that side, which makes me think the opposite fork may be spring fed by a very small spring, because there's not a lot of flow coming down it, but there is water there. If it were just rainwater, I would expect this fork to look similar as far as water level, but it's totally dry. This is a really interesting patch of woods. Got some big trees back in here. I'm noticing a lot of hickory back in here, which is common, and some maples and sweet gum. But the further up you go in elevation, the less likely you are to see sweet gum. Pennants are now available at cumberlandrover.com. Historically flown for signal purposes, a pennant is that indescribable something that your boat is missing. They can help you read the wind, increase visibility of your small craft, and they just look cool, fluttering from the masthead or yard of a lug sail. You can have any color you want, as long as it's bright red. I have 2 styles of pennant now available at cumberlandrover.com.